Well, good afternoon, SLAE family. I am so thrilled to be here today, and we are truly blessed to have the guest that we have today. I am so excited. And during this holiday season, bringing a woman in who is amazingly strong in her faith and in the spreading of faith to so many people is just something incredibly special. So I'm thrilled to have her here. And today I'm going to introduce to you our very special guest, Tracy Tiernan. And Tracy has a heck of a lot of accomplishments. She is a radio personality on 95.1 Shine FM. She also has her own podcast, which we're going to talk about as well. And she's also in the ministry at a fantastic non-denominational multicultural church. So before we do anything else, the best way to start today is to learn the woman behind the mission. So Tracy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, just so we can get to know you, please?
Sure. Well, Leanne, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here with you. So hi, everybody. So yes, my name is Tracy Tiernan. Some people call me by my married name as well, which is Tracy Tiernan Coiro. Married to my husband, Gary, for 8 years. We just celebrated our anniversary at the end of November. And so this was a second chance at love for both of us. So I am a girl who is grateful for second chances. I was, prior to meeting Gary, just kind of out there for quite a while, single, longing, and wondering like, what is going on? And, you know, as you start getting older, you start hearing the tick, 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 tick. And you're like, what's happening right now? God, I trust you, but what's happening? And I'm grateful. I am now the bonus mom to 6 awesome kids. They're actually adults now, but Gary's 6 kids. I never guessed that I would be a stepmom, but here I am. Got just a beautiful home in Ellicott City, Maryland, that we moved into about a year ago. And yeah, I've been in radio for about almost 20 years. I'm a musician as well. I've always been sort of around the creative arts and doing things creatively, played in bands since I was 16 years old. I feel like right now, Leanne, like at 57 years old, I feel so, you use the word blessed. I feel so blessed that I get to do what I get to do on the radio at this wonderful ministry, 95.1 Shine FM. I get to encourage people every single day, and it's just a blast. So that's a little bit about me.
Wonderful. Well, let's talk about all the pieces of the wonderful joy that you spread, without a doubt. Let's start with 95.1 Shine FM. You have a morning show. And if you can tell everybody a little bit about what time you're on, what your morning show is like. And also, I know even though you're located in Maryland, there are ways for people who are listening from anywhere to be able to hear you. So let's start with that one.
Yeah, you can listen. WRBS 95.1 Shine FM. I'm located here in Baltimore, Maryland, but really it's a very powerful station. And you can get us on your radio dial, you know, into Virginia, the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Pennsylvania. But here's the thing, because of the internet and live streaming, people listen to us all over the world. Plus there's an app for your smartphone as well. So Leanne, we have, you know, listeners that listen. I know I've had them call in the morning, people who are maybe stationed in the military overseas, you know, in Germany. I had a family that regular listeners listening to us from the Philippines. But we are a local station and broadcasting all over the place. I am on in the mornings from 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. So I'm the early morning girl. The show is called Tracy and Mike, and my dear friend Mike Alley is my co-host. And the show has the components of a morning show that you might find on like a pop station or a rock station. So you're going to hear, you know, traffic and weather. Primarily, though, I'm the lead host, and primarily what we do is we share little slices of life. We share a lot about ourselves and about our journey of faith. So we're a Christian station. We get to tell people about our faith in the Lord and just remind people how precious they are to God. I get to do that every single day. And it's really fun. The hardest part of my job is getting up early.
I was going to say, what time do you have to get up in the morning?
Well, I get up at 3.
Oh, God bless you. Definitely.
People are like, why so early? But Leanne, if I didn't do that, if I didn't get up early and come upstairs in my room and have a little quiet time and get myself, centered, I
Yes.
wouldn't be able to speak in coherent sentences. So I need to get filled up and have that time in the morning with God before I go and put anything out. So yeah, 3 a.m.
That's fabulous. So what time do you go to bed at night? Is it bedtime for you right now, as a matter of fact?
There's the problem. I'm not good about this. In all the years that I've been doing morning radio, I haven't really figured out the bedtime thing because Gary and I, we just have so much fun. And, we had people over last night and they're like, shouldn't you be going to bed? It's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, I probably should. So I'm a napper. When I don't get to bed at a reasonable hour, I am an awesome napper. I could teach a class on napping.
Power napping.
Yes.
I need to sign up for that class, I think.
What time do you get up in the morning, Leanne?
I get up around, well, if things go well, I get up at around 6:15. Okay. But I'm not a good sleeper. I'll just leave it at that. There are many times I'm up in the middle of the night, but it's all good. It's all good. So they can tune in on the radio, and then they can also, even if they're at work on their laptop or their desktop, they can just Google 95.1 Shine FM and it'll pop up with a live stream access, correct?
Absolutely. It's so super simple. And we know people are listening from their workplaces. They're listening in their kitchen making breakfast. They're listening in their car. People are listening all over the place. What is so cool about radio is, Leanne, it's a sacred trust when somebody chooses to tune in to the radio station. They're trusting you to basically come into their lives. It's like you're inviting me right in. And I mean, I got to tell you, that is an honor. I love it. I thank God for it every day. Our listeners are amazing. We have a very, much like you do here, we've got a really special community of listeners that really look out for one another, that are cheering one another on. It's just a really encouraging, wonderful environment. So I love the people that I work with. I have a blast every day. Sometimes I'm like, this is really my job. Really? I love it.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And you also have a podcast. So can you share with everybody a little bit of, take a sip first, I'll talk about your podcast and that as well, please.
Yes, my podcast, and this is all under the umbrella of Brighter Media Group, which is like the parent organization name over top of the radio station. So this is part of what I do at the radio station. I have a podcast called Your Day Brighter, and I get to have conversations with people who are just making things a little bit better in the world. People that have really incredible stories of things that they've overcome in their lives, people that have just some wisdom to share from their own personal journey. Sometimes I'm interviewing guests that people have heard of. I had the privilege of getting to interview a lot of the artists that we play on the radio station. And that's really fun. I also talk to some people that you maybe not have heard of, but people that have just incredible stories, people that are doing incredible ministry. Here locally and even around the world. And sometimes, Leanne, I've been doing this more in this season of the podcast, as I've just been sharing a message and not having a guest at all. And I really enjoy that. It's kind of putting yourself out there. I know you understand that because you do a lot of speaking, but if I feel like there's something bubbling up inside that could maybe encourage someone, I'll do a podcast episode where I'm sharing a message. So it's called Your Day Brighter, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. So
fantastic. So those are your kind of media ways of spreading faith and joy and all the great things you do. And then there's this whole other piece of you. And this is actually how I've been blessed to know you. And that is through Bridgeway Community Church, which is a non-denominational multicultural church. And I wanted to take a second and talk about that because for the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever, it's been way too much. There's so much divisive media. There's so much about emphasizing all the ways people don't get along, don't trust each other, can't intermingle, is so negative and so tough out there. And Bridgeway is such a phenomenal place. And you are a minister there. So I would love for you to share a little bit about, I guess, the church and also your journey, how you ended up there, because I think that's a great story too.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you for that question. Yeah, Bridgeway Community Church. We now have two campuses, Columbia, Maryland, and Owings Mills, Reisterstown. But I found Bridgeway, I want to say 1999, 98, 99. And I was a little resistant. I was a part of a very small church that disbanded. And so I was just being really prayerful about, where am I supposed to go? This is a big part of my life. And I wanted to go where God wanted me. And for some reason, that to me meant it couldn't be as easy as going to the place where all my friends were going. So my friends were like, come to Bridgeway. And I'm like, no, God wouldn't want me there because that's too easy. So I'm like, where should I go? Where should I go? And I'm going and I'm visiting all these places. And finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go visit Bridgeway. And from the first time that I was there, I don't know if you felt like this too.
Yes.
I knew I was home. I walked in the doors of this multicultural church. Currently, we have about 52 different nations represented in our congregation. The church is coming up on our 30-year anniversary in 2022. And I walked in the doors that first time and I saw all these different kinds of people worshiping the same God together and laughing together and crying together and sharing life together. Bridgeway isn't a place where you just kind of, check in one day a week and that's it. It's a real community of people that are doing life deeply together. And it's changed my life. I have friends from all different cultures, generations, and I don't know, it feels like life in HD, like things went just because all of a sudden you get to see this great God who is the God of the whole universe, who created all of us in his image, right? You get to see how he's manifest through all these amazing different people, the beauty in the diversity, the beauty in the differences. And it just makes life richer. It's humbling because a lot of times we know our own experience and we think that we know how it is. But then you at a multicultural church, you're invited into conversations that you might not be invited into other places, where you can ask hard questions to people who have a different come from than you. And it just makes the walls come down as soon as you hear somebody else's story, right? Story is the thing that just connects us, and we start to have understanding. Like our pastor, Dr. David Anderson, who's our founder and senior pastor of the church, he always says this. He says, comprehension begins with conversation. And I found that to be true in this beautiful multicultural community. No church is perfect. I'm not saying that, it's perfect. It's not. We're all a bunch of messed up strugglers together, learning how to love God and love one another. But Bridgeway has been a safe place for me to grow up. And I'm really grateful for it. Did I answer your question?
Oh my goodness, yes. And it's so interesting because, I remember the first time I went there and there were all kinds of people from different cultures. Over the years, they've had people coming up and translating and speaking all kinds of different languages, and they had support for people who are hearing impaired, and there's somebody signing. I mean, it's really a place where everybody is welcome. And, if you're watching this and you're not in Maryland, you can go online and watch. As a matter of fact, that's what I did during the entire pandemic. I sat on my couch and went to church.
Yes, absolutely. Aren't we so glad we live in a time where we have the technology to be able to do that?
Yes, it would have been heartbreaking if this, pandemic happened years ago where people weren't all online.
Right.
I don't know how people would have gotten through without being able to have any message of faith at all.
Right.
Now,
I agree.
Tracy, you're so strong in your faith and in your, in the way that you spread it. Did you come from a family that was very strong in faith? Like, was this the way you were brought up, or did you become like this? Because it's really powerful, the impact you have on people.
Thank you. So that is so encouraging. You're such an encourager. Thank you. No, I didn't grow up in a Christian home necessarily. We were a family that would go to church on Christmas and Easter.
Mhm.
I think my mom believed that it was a good thing to do, and I had an interest in it. And so, like for a while there, I was singing in the choir at this little Methodist church that we went to church on Easter and Christmas. But this is back when I was, maybe a preteen. But we were not regular churchgoers at all. And so I would say, at least of my generation and my mom's, I'm the first one that's just sort of been out there with it. And I was kind of a little bulldozer when I first came to faith, but God's grace covers all of that, all of my blunders. And I've seen God do some really beautiful things in my family. And I would say that now I'm watching my family, members of my family come alive in their own faith journey. And it's something that we actually share together now. And
Oh,
so
beautiful.
that's been really amazing. And it has nothing to do with me because I'm sure I botched it. I
Well,
know
listen,
I did.
it has a lot to do with you, but that doesn't mean that we don't all botch everything along the way. Sometimes God has a plan for us or uses us to go ahead and do something, and we don't always do it all neat and pretty.
Right, right.
But yeah, you're not only are you doing all these things, but also, to have you as a female minister in there as well is really exciting.
Yeah, that is such a privilege. I'm very grateful that Bridgeway has been a place that has been, I think, sensitive to the movement of the Holy Spirit,
Yeah.
teachable. And our pastor has made Bridgeway a place where women can step into leadership. And I know there's a lot of divisiveness with this topic. We won't go there. But I'm really grateful. I never come at it like, I'm entitled. I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
This was the doors opened for me, and I stepped through them. And so I love being a minister at Bridgeway, just being able to serve people and be available for them. People are hurting.
Yes.
People are hurting all over the place. And really, we've all been given opportunities to be able to just love on people right where they are. And so I'm really grateful that I get to do that in Bridgeway, at the community of Bridgeway. Yeah.
And speaking of you doing that, even though you're not in Bridgeway right now, at this moment while we're sitting here talking, it has been there's people who are in a great place. So I don't want to say everybody, but for a lot of people, it has been a really difficult time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of loss. A lot of things have happened with people with, COVID and all the changes that are happening. And while all of that's going on, if you're in a great place, the holidays can be really exciting and fun. But if you're in a tough place, the holidays can truly just magnify any feelings of sadness or despair or loneliness or whatever loss that people have. So if I could impose on you at this moment, would you have a message for anybody who's watching this that might be going through something like that? They're going through a tough time, or they have been through something which is making the holiday season really tough for them at this moment.
Yeah. First, I guess I would want to say to anyone that's in that hard place right now, that it matters to God what you're going through. One of the names of God that I love is in Hebrew, it's El Roi. He is El Roi, which is he's the God who sees me. And he sees you, and he knows everything. He knows your whole story. He knows exactly how you're doing in this moment. And he's gracious and compassionate and merciful and slow to anger and abounding in love. More than anything, I would want you to know what he's really like. A lot of times we will ascribe to God, the Father, attributes of whomever maybe the male authority figures have been in our lives. And if you didn't have a good male authority figure, if you didn't have a great relationship with your dad, or, if you had some relationships with authority figures that were hard on you, you might think that God's like them.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just want to I'm here to tell you that he's not, that he's not like that. He's other, he's different, he's holy, he's set apart, and he loves you. And everything that you're feeling and going through, everything, he knows it all. This is what's so beautiful about Jesus, right? Jesus is the Son of God. He is God, God in the flesh, 100% human and 100% God. So there's nothing that we feel this side of heaven that Jesus can't empathize with, right? He suffered in his body. He suffered betrayal and loss and rejection and loneliness and sorrow. He suffered all of the things that we struggle with. So he gets you. He gets you. And when we are in that really deep, dark place and we're trying to find our way out, there's no formula. I can't say we'll do this, this, and this, and this, but I can say, cry out to Jesus. I can say that because I know him to be, he's attentive to our cry, and he'll meet you there. And he doesn't, it's not that he necessarily is going to solve the problem, but he gives us his presence. And his presence is a peaceful place right in the midst of a crazy world and stuff that you're feeling and it's hurting your heart right now. Jesus can wrap you up and just give you his peace and his presence. And more than anything, I would want that for you right now. I felt him holding me. I lost a very dear friend of mine this year. And, the holidays, like you said, kind of magnify.
Yes, they do.
And I know you're feeling that too, Leanne. And
thank you.
I'm just deeply sorry and praying that you feel his presence. Invite him into it. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to pretend it's not there. Don't try to suck it up and power through. He's not a suck it up God. We live in a suck it up world, but he's not a suck it up God. You can bring it all. You can bring it all to him and he can handle it and he'll meet you right there.
Incredible message. Just amazing. Thank you. And for all the wonderful things you do, God has also blessed you with a gorgeous singing voice. And yes, here comes the part where I get to embarrass you at the end, right? But I have heard you sing in church many times and your voice is glorious. And to me also, I can't sing. It would be fabulous if I could, but you got to know what you're good at, right? But sometimes people can sing, but they can sing technically.
Yeah.
That's it. And then there are people who can sing technically, but there is spirit behind when they sing. And so it makes you feel when they sing. And there's a difference. Like it's one thing to, be able to hit all the notes perfectly, which you do, dear, but it's a whole nother thing when there is an emotion and a compassion and a kindness and a joy that comes through the person and touches the other people. So of course, I'm not letting you go unless you sing a little bit for us today. And before we wrap up, I would love it if you pick whatever favorite Christmas song you want, just give us a little teeny weeny bit of it. I think that would be beautiful, if you don't mind. Now that I put you on the spot, you kind of have to say yes anyway.
Thank you. Again, I just feel like you're so sweet and so encouraging. And it means a lot to me. I will tell you that being a woman in any sort of public arena, as we get older, there are things that change about us. And it's been a humbling season. I'm 57 years old. And I always like to say, my motto kind of is the best is yet to come. And I really believe that with my whole heart. But that doesn't mean that what's to come is going to look exactly the same as it does now. Our voices change. Our looks change. It's a humbling thing. I'm leaning into it, girl. I'm leaning into it. I'm like, this is what I got, God. My voice has changed a lot. I can feel my voice changing even as I get older. But I love to sing. And so for you to invite me to do that, I got to sing a song over you. It's one that I'm just going to sing a little verse of Joy to the World. I'm going to sing it over you. Okay.
Yes.
Because the word joy, my favorite definition of it is joy is a deep internal confidence that God has everything under control.
Oh, that's beautiful. Say that again. That's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Beautiful.
Joy is a deep internal confidence that God has everything under control. And so, Leanne, I wish you joy. I wish
Thank
you
you.
that.
I wish you joy, and everyone watching this too.
Yes.
It's so exciting. So, as they say, take it away.
Let's see what we got here. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. This is awesome. I'm so tickled you agreed to be a guest in here. I'm just,
I'm so nervous doing that just now. I'm so nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, your voice is beautiful, beautiful. And if you are watching this on Facebook or watching it a little later on our YouTube channel, you can leave comments for Tracy. She actually has joined the Facebook group, so she'll see if you have any comments or questions or anything you've just about her podcast or about a multicultural church. How do you find one in your area? Anything that you want to know. And if you're watching it on YouTube, of course, please feel free to leave comments there as well. But Tracy, I cannot thank you enough. You truly spread joy, and it is such a privilege to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Leanne. It was an honor to be with you. And thanks to everyone so much for watching. Merry Christmas to everybody too. Thank you.
Yes. Merry Christmas or happy holidays if you observe something different. And just be sure to make sure that you spend a little extra time appreciating and loving your family during these times right now. So it is an incredible time to treasure people, without a doubt.
Oh, beautiful.
So thank you so much, Tracy. And we will all be back here next week after the holidays. Thank you all for being here. And Tracy, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.